Every year, many anime come out and populate the internet zeitgeist for a while. Some are good, some are bad. An endless cycle to shuffle through quality and dog shit. But then, there are some anime that are just plain awesome. Oh yeah, we are talking about the real good shit today. A full course meal of pure perfection. Now, in case none of y'all heard of Chainsaw Man, let me give you a quick rundown. Chainsaw Man is set in a world where devils exist, and they often wreak havoc on society. So to combat this threat, there are devil hunters. Sounds good! Unless you're a hunter, then your life expectancy goes down drastically, but we'll talk about that later. We follow Denji, who has the power to become Chainsaw Man, who has the power of chainsaws, in case you can't tell. He works as a hunter to track down the dangerous gun devil, but along the way, he meets some new people, including the mysterious Makima, who has her own interest in Denji. At the same time, Denji must handle new threats that come his and his friends' way. When the show was released, it was met with universal acclaim. However, just because something is popular doesn't mean it's good. I proved that a few times on this channel. But no, this time, the hype is real. Chainsaw Man is a banger and of the highest quality possible. But why? How has this show won over the internet? And what does it do so well? Well, let's dive into the series, explore its amazing quality, and ask, why is Chainsaw Man a bloody masterpiece? With a video about Chainsaw Man, there will be focused on, Chainsaw Man himself, or rather Denji. Now to sum up his history, he was in debt to a Yakuza boss, and he had to pay out what his late dad owed to the man, otherwise he was dead. But he was not alone, where he did have a devil for a pet, Poshita. And thanks to Poshita's help, Denji hunted devils and gave them to his boss to pay off his debts. But sadly one day, he got backstabbed by the Yakuza and their zombie devil, and he got sliced up. Kiryu would be disappointed in you chumps. But thankfully, Poshita was able to get a bit of Denji's blood, and the goodest boy of them all was able to bring Denji back and give him the powers to turn to Chainsaw Man, which allowed him to chop up the Yakuza zombies like Anakin did to the younglings. Then he gets picked up by Makima, and the rest of the show happens. Yeah, Denji has had a rough time, and these hardships helped develop his personality and his outlook on life, as he was forced to deal with his reality, but also, there are teases he wants more with his life. This moment with Denji in episode 1 tells you plenty about his character. For context, in the moment prior, the Yakuza boss mentions to one of his grunts that Denji will do anything they tell him to do. The grunt, wanting to test that statement, goes with Denji and tells him to eat his cigarette. And... oof. Rip to my main man. But after the boss and grunt leave, Denji spits up the cigarette. So what does this scene tell us about him as a character? Firstly, it does show he's usually obedient and will follow orders that are given to him, but also it shows he's willing to break those orders that are given to him, provided he knows or thinks he won't get caught. And additionally, in another scene, we learn from his chats with Poshita that he wants more from life. And this is where he gets more interesting with Denji. What he wants from life is, well, of course, not being a Yakuza slave anymore, and to enjoy things he considers to be extremely high quality. And I don't mean a steak or a jelly-filled donut, I mean just bread. Now yes, the idea of anyone thinking something so modest as bread is the highest possible quality food is odd to most people, but bear in mind this is a guy who was so poor growing up, bread was one of the few foods he can actually afford, and that wasn't always guaranteed since he was starving by the looks of it. So it's an interesting image of Denji being the guy who wants the nice things in life, but his understanding of what the nice things are in life is quite limited. But also, Denji's morality is another fascinating aspect of his character. Denji's not a very moral person by any stretch of the word. For a good chunk of season 1, he is motivated by his own selfish goals. Whether it be his desire to be a devil hunter because it pays well and he gets to be close to his crush Makima, or when he helped out Power to get her cat back just so he can fondle her boobs. A true degenerate if I ever saw it. Usually, for a story where you want your character to be cheered on by the audience, these negative traits would work against them. However, the show is clever in how they execute them with Denji. For one, he's 17, so he has a more inexperienced and mature way of seeing things. Not to mention, he had no real positive guidance for his entire life until he joined the Public Safety Commission. Yeah, he had Poshita, and don't get me wrong, Poshita's a very good boy, but he couldn't be more than emotional support, since he was basically a dog and couldn't talk to Denji properly. And we can assume his dad wasn't that good to him since he bailed out in the worst way possible when Denji was a kid. And the Yakuza boss who treated Denji essentially like a slave wasn't training him to be a pillar of society. Plus he had a terrible life where even eating a single slice of bread wasn't always a guaranteed. So you can't hold it against him for doing what he does for his own self-gain. But he doesn't stay the same. He starts to change in small ways as he spends more time with his co-workers. When he meets Makima, he develops feelings for her, though it's more accurate to say this is more infatuation with her because of the aforementioned immaturity and his hellish life, but also the fact he definitely doesn't have proper emotional development since he never went to school and he didn't have anyone to raise him properly, so he didn't form healthy human bonds that are needed for a teen his age. So when someone like Makima, a person Denji finds physically attracting and treats him with basic kindness, it causes Denji to form his first relationship where he's warm to another human being. His relationship with Makima is more of a lovesick puppy who is trying to win her over, and Makima playing him, which we'll cover in a later section. But as Denji meets more with the cast, he starts to relate and empathize with the others. Like with Power, where he understands the love she has for her cat, as he had those feelings for Poshita. A major moment in his development was after a night with Himeno. Not like that, Denji's a minor. I mean, they almost did it, but they did, so shut up. Anyway, when they chat, they get to talk about their one-sided loves. Denji with Makima and Himeno with Aki. They both talk about their feelings for their respective crushes, and they both make a pact to help each other get the other they are crushing on. However, the pact never succeeds since Himeno dies. But her death showcases how Denji has changed. While Denji didn't feel bad that she died, he felt bad for not feeling bad, showing he is starting to care about others beyond the surface level or what they can give to him. Lastly, his development with Aki. Bro delivers 2 acts of kindness without selfish intent. Firstly, despite stealing his gift basket of apples, Denji returns one of them to him as an act of kindness after Aki lost Himeno. This moment shows while he does still have a selfish personality, he does have a strong sense of empathy and kindness, since up to this point, he and Aki haven't gone along too well. But the most defining moment is when, after he depowers Katana Man, he bounds him up and gives Aki a chance to do a little contest to see who can break Katana Man's balls the best. Now yes, it's fair to say Denji also wants to break Katana Man's nuts because Katana Man shot him and is overall a massive dick to Denji. But it's clear this activity is meant for Aki since Denji invited him over, as he knows Himeno's death did a lot of damage to Aki, with Katana Man being a partial cause of it. And after the beatdown of the century, when all is calm again with the cast, Denji has settled with Power and Aki, and Denji becomes closer to his newfound friends. And at least for the time being, he can finally have some peace. Well, until season 2. But the show doesn't just make Denji compelling. The cast as a whole is filled with tightly written, unique characters. But just as important, how the characters interact with each other is a gem as well. A good sign of a show that is well written is the characters having their own unique identity and being able to contrast with each other, and the interactions and developments they can bring. Of course, you have someone like Denji, a goofball who has his own selfish desires. But Denji's personality really shines through when he interacts with the other characters, especially when it comes to Aki, his opposite. He bounces off the more colorful and over-the-top characters well, being an anchor to keep everyone in check. Not to say he's sane by any means, no, he said it himself.
Every associate I've met that got into devil hunting for the paycheck is pushing up daisies now, and that's not an exaggeration. The only ones who survive are those with strong convictions at their core. Let me guess. Makima's the sole reason you're here, am I right? Bingo! Then I'm glad I beat the crap out of you.
Damn, bro got no chill. But this interaction is a very good showing of the differences between Aki and Denji, but also contrasts with how these two view each other at the end of season 1. To sum up, at first, they hate each other because Aki thinks Denji is a punk who is doing this public safety work for money and wanting to impress Makima, compared to him, who is in this life to find the gun devil who is responsible for the death of his family, and Denji hates him because he thinks Aki has a stick up his ass. Then they somewhat get along after they're forced to have Power stay at their place, and she's so disgusting and such a massive slob that it makes them actually get along. Also to note, when Denji, Aki, and the rest of their team were stuck fighting the Eternity Devil, the rest of the team were about to sacrifice Denji to the Eternity Devil to free themselves, but Aki took the hit for Denji. And while he did it for his own reasons, since he needs Denji's help to kill the Gun Devil, it shows Denji that Aki isn't all that bad. Eventually, they become true friends after the death of Himeno. As I mentioned earlier, they team up and give Katana Man a massive beatdown. Name me a more wholesome thing two men can do together.
Inspiring.
But it's not just those two who have great dynamics and character writing. Despite only being in a few episodes, Himeno sets herself apart from the rest of her co-workers. She's wilder and unrestrained when it comes to her actions and what's on her mind. She's a perfect balance to Aki, who's very stoic and serious. However, as we learn more about their histories, she recognizes that Aki is on a self-destructive path with his desire to kill the Gun Devil and tries to steer him away, but to no avail, as it seems Aki is hell-bent to kill the Gun Devil, even if it kills him. It's a fantastic contrast and adds a deeper meaning to the relationship, as Himeno's actions are contextualized as not a drunk crazy horny lady, but rather a person who is trying not to lose another friend. One more dynamic I want to examine is when Kishibe has to train Power and Denji to help them become better fighters. Now, while at first, the audience might think it's going to be a typical wise mentor teaching some young students, it's subverted when Kishibe brutally kicks their asses. Like, if they didn't have the power to bring themselves back, Denji and Power would be dead, which the dude knows, hence why he goes extra brutal with them. This brutal training does make sense for Kishibe. He has seen a lot of devil hunters get killed in his time, all of them going out in very dark and gruesome ways. So with his years of experience, he knows all the to-dos and not to-dos of being a devil hunter. Not to mention, he hates devils and fiends, and with Denji and Power practically being immortal, Kishibe is allowed to take out some years of pent-up rage on Denji and Power. But also, he's still calm about it, showing he's always in complete control of himself and he won't slip up. But despite the not so good way this relationship started, his training does start to improve Denji and Power, and they do get closer and closer to kicking Kishibe's ass. And by the end, Denji and Power are actually up to snuff by Kishibe's standards, and despite his hatred of devils and fiends, and even getting annoyed with Power and Denji, Kishibe forms an attachment to them, showing there is a warmness in him, even if it's very little. A nice little character moment for my goat.
Goat shit only.
But the show knows how to do another thing well. It knows how to tell a darker story, which leads to... Now, when you're doing a show, you must go with a consistent tone throughout it. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be one mood throughout it from start to finish. Dark shows can have moments of levity, and light shows can have truly dark moments. But there's a general area of tone you should maintain for your story. Otherwise, you'll give the audience a tonal whiplash. But an issue that can arise when doing a dark show is when you're doing it because you think it looks cool. You know what I mean. Movies when the writers try to act all tough and edgy. Not because it's what the story calls for, they do it because it looks cool to them. Thankfully, Chainsaw Man doesn't have that weakness. The story calls for a dark tone, but they don't try to milk it so hard and go overboard. It's respectful of how it does it. The world of Chainsaw Man is a very dark and cruel one, but it's not devoid of light, and there's fun to be had, which we will talk about soon. But overall, it's a dark world to live in, where any of the characters could die at any moment. Hell, Denji dies a few times in the show, but he can come back to life if you give him some blood. But the deaths show that dying in this universe will likely not be glorious or honorable. It can be quick and unceremoniously. And unlike Denji, most characters don't have the power to bring themselves back from the dead. If you die, you die. Simple as that. But you insulted the work for how it killed off Midnight, so why are you praising that aspect here? Well, straw man, that happened to pop in here conveniently at this moment. There are a lot of reasons why Chainsaw Man does darkness and death great and not the work. 1. When a serious moment happens, like a character death, it goes into detail about how that impacted the other characters, and uses it to develop them further, and not just put it under the rug and leave it underdeveloped. 2. There are no bullshit fake-outs. Characters who should be dead are dead. 3. It actually commits to being brutal and dark, and not just using it for shock value. Like Himeno's death wasn't just a big sad moment, it has Aki go through trauma so he can develop his character more. Then he goes through an arc, which helps him get closer to Denji, and delivers a great payoff with him being the shit out of Katana Man. Not to mention, it's used to develop Denji as well as the conflicting feelings about Himeno. He didn't know Himeno well, so he doesn't have a strong attachment to her, but he feels bad for not feeling bad. This is an indicator that he's starting to change and not only care about himself, but also the people around him. Furthermore, the deaths of Himeno and the majority of the Gun Devil Task Force affects the plot, which causes not just the aforementioned development with Denji and Aki, but causes Kishibe to show up to train Denji in Power and properly introduce himself in the story, forces the Gun Devil Task Force to enlist more fiends and devils on their side, the Yakuza getting utterly destroyed by Makima and ending their threat, and lastly, but not least, the game finds more Gun Devil pieces, which will help them get closer to find the Gun Devil. You know, that seems a little more than what the work offered when it killed off their characters. Yes, I'm never going to stop criticizing the work. It will never not suck, and I will gladly use it as an example for when it fails in one regard, and show how another piece of media succeeds. Alright, enough shit talking. Let's resume the review. But despite the dark nature of the show and the traumatic experiences the characters go through, it's not just a non-stop ride of misery and hopelessness. There are moments where actual joy and happiness are present. Denji and Pochita are there for each other. The Gun Devil team enjoy a meal together. Denji and Himeno bond over their one-sided loves, and Denji and Aki giving Katana Man's nutsack a beatdown. These moments provide levity for our characters, to show them and the audience that despite the bad things they have to go through, there is light and something to fight for and cherish. That's the core of the show when you think about it. Despite the darker tone, Chainsaw Man is an optimistic story. The characters go through hell, but after all is said and done, they are all at peace. Of course, each of them have scars of varying levels, and some still struggle with what happened, but they all keep going forward. They don't let their pain put them down, and they have each other's back like loyal co-workers. But more importantly, friends. But an underlying darkness has its hands all over the cast and is pushing them to do what she wants. One character stands out as a masterclass of intrigue and giving an uneasy feeling, which we will break down right now. Now, any discussion about Chainsaw Man cannot be completed without mentioning Makima. For context, she's a supporting character in the show, acting as the boss to Denji and the special division in charge of hunting down the Gun Devil. While on the surface, she acts as a polite, well-mannered lady with a soft spot for dogs, there are some odd aspects of her. Now, the first time we meet Makima, she doesn't seem to be suspicious, with her being very warm to Denji, buying him some food, and offering him a job. She's basically the first person to ever treat Denji with basic human decency, and play on Denji's weaknesses to get a greater influence on him by acting interested in him and giving him the idea she might be romantically interested in him. This action is already suspicious, but we haven't even gotten to the rest of her stuff. Holy shit, she's something else. So after Denji touches some boobs, long story there, he feels disappointed. He thinks the reason why is that the feeling of pursuing the goal was more rewarding and thrilling than actually getting it. But Makima proposes a different idea.
I believe that when it comes to sexual matters, the better you understand your partner, the better you'll feel.
Then she just lets him grope her. Like, whoa. Whoa. Now this moment accomplishes two things. One, it adds on to the uneasiness Makima brings anytime she's on screen. But also, it shows Makima putting more and more influence on Denji, with her promising Denji anything if he beats the Gun Devil. And when she means anything, she means anything. Then later, she gives Denji her lollipop that she already put in her mouth after Himeno gave him a disgusting kiss. Yeah, that's a bit funky there, Makima. And we ain't done with the sus yet, boys. Then she comes back to life after being jumped, which then afterwards, she kills her assassins, then gathers up some criminals, then launches a counterattack by blowing up the Yakuza assassins who have Denji by using the criminals to blow those fuckers up. Now, all of this isn't just a mindfuck meant to throw the audience off their feet, but it also adds additional intrigue. What is this power she has? Who is the devil she has a contract with? And what is the extent of her power? But wait, there's more. You thought the sus is over? Not even close. Later on, when talking to Kishibe, the dude knows something is up and thinks Makima is talking bullshit and suspects she was involved with the massacre.
Public safety would have seen it coming. I'm betting you knew about it and let it happen anyway.
And you know what? My man's spitting here. While Denji and Aki are high and low-key simming might distract them from the red flags, wiser men won't fall for such tricks. Your powers won't work on me, lady.
But how could you hate me? I'm such a nice person. How about we talk and just...
Nope! Unlike most Chainsaw Man fans, I ain't falling for that shit. Y'all need some better standards. This woman's grooming a minor, and you guys are barking in her presence.
Do better.
Where was I? Oh yeah. So it's an understatement to say there's something up with Makima. The show does a good job making it intriguing for the audience. It's clear she has her own motives for wanting to help out Denji, and the mystery of her character makes the audience want to know what she wants to do and how she'll go about it. Now, I already mentioned her actions towards Denji and her powers, but there's also her tone towards other characters, such as her just speaking gets the unstable power to stop acting like a punk.
Hark! More calumny even now! Devils don't tell lies. Deception is a human tactic.
First time I heard that one!
Please keep it down, you two.
Arguably, the most telling sign of her true personality was when she was with the Yakuza leader and his gang. Firstly, trying to be polite to get the names of the people who attacked her group, but getting nothing at first from the Yakuza. The leader even tries to act like the Yakuza is needed to protect Japan from international crime organizations. But Makima, with a cold smile on her face, reveals she brought the eyeballs of the Yakuza members' families. Then, when a Yakuza grunt tries to attack her, Makima kills him with her powers and responds coldly to the boss.
But society doesn't need your cheap excuses. If you were truly a necessary evil, you would be kept on a much shorter leash with the hand of the state firmly in control.
Now with the scene, we learn far more about Makima's true personality. If we take the implications of her conversation with Kishibe to be the truth, it's most likely she's willing to sacrifice her own people's lives to get what she wants. But these additional actions of going after people who did nothing wrong but be related to some criminals shows what she's willing to do to get what she wants, and illustrates the brutality of her. Makima could have just kidnapped the Yakuza's families and threatened them the normal way, but she goes out of her way to be more crueler than she needs to be to send a message. She is in control. She won't be pushed around by some thugs. She'll get what she wants, no matter what she has to do or who she has to hurt. Just wow. Just a perfect way to sell the power and command a character can have in one scene. And it does give more setup for Makima as a villain down the road. Let's be real, guys, it's pretty clear Makima is going to be a threat to the main cast down the road if she isn't already. And everything from her manipulations to her brutality just sells this perfectly. I give my props to the author. You create one of the scariest moments and deliver one of the most chilling characters in recent memory. Just great work.
Goat only.
And yes, Makima is practically Gus Fring as an anime girl.
But society doesn't need your cheap excuses. If you were truly a necessary evil, you would be kept on a much shorter leash with the hand of the state firmly in control.
If you try to interfere, this becomes a much simpler matter. I will kill your wife. I will kill your son. I will kill your infant daughter.
Makes sense. Peak should emulate peak. But the show isn't perfect. I mean, it's not much, but there are some minor flaws, which we will dive into right now. Now, based on how much I praise this show, you might think it's perfect, right?
Wrong!
There are some flaws in the season. There aren't many, but it's still worth bringing attention to them for a balanced review. Denji's durability is all over the place. This moment, when Denji jumps up on the Bat Devil while the beast is high up, is a bit bullshit. My man got his blood squeezed out of him like he was a lemon, and this damage was after Denji was bonked on the head by power. So he shouldn't be able to jump that high. And if you're going to tell me Denji has super durability because of his fusion with Poshita, then how does he get killed later when he gets shot in the head by Katana Man?
It is of no concern.
Also, I find it bullshit that Denji can take damage from bullets in his Chainsaw Man form. Remember, the dude was able to take full-on attacks from a giant monster for a while without breaking his bones, and bear in mind he was tired and extremely weakened from his battle with the Bat Devil, and he wasn't even in his full Chainsaw Man form. And even if we grant that bullets wouldn't kill him the same way it would do to a regular human being, it's still silly he can take attacks from giant devils without them giving him massive cuts to his bodies, but a bullet can. Moving on, Kobani could have taken out Snake Girl and Katana Man here, but she just lets Snake Girl throw Katana Man into her car and then drives away. If you're going to say that she was too rattled to shoot back because of her emotional state, then why did she resume shooting after they got into the car when they were even harder to shoot? She doesn't need to kill them, just a bullet to the legs would practically immobilize Snake Girl, and she wouldn't be able to escape. Bit of a dumbass move there, Kobani. Another dumb moment with Kobani was when she was able to sneak past Snake Girl and then ambush her after Aki killed the Ghost Devil. Like, how? She wasn't there when Aki was battling the Ghost Devil, it was just him and Snake Girl. Maybe she was hiding in the room somewhere, you might say. And okay, I could buy that answer if it wasn't for this simple line of dialogue.
The Ghost Devil doesn't have eyes. It uses fear to see.
If Kobani was in the room, wouldn't the Ghost Devil go after her as well? With its lack of seeing, wouldn't it assume Kobani was a threat and then go after her? And ignoring all that bullshit, how does Kobani sneak past the Ghost Devil and behind Snake Girl? All of them are in a large hallway, and there's nothing to hide behind. Unless she's Spider-Man and can crawl on walls, I doubt she could get around. And if you're going to say she came from the back door, then she's awfully lucky she didn't get in the room while the Ghost Devil was still active. Otherwise, my comments about the Ghost Devil sensing her still rings true. Also, why didn't Snake Girl summon up the Snake Devil to attack Aki when he was about to kill the Ghost Devil, or at any time during the fight?
It is of no concern.
Don't get me wrong, there's a lot I still like about this scene. The fight between Aki and the Ghost Devil is fire. Even with the Future Devil giving him a 5-second insight into the future, Aki is being pushed into a corner. And his flashback with Himeno is touching, remembering her once more before he thinks he's about to die. And I do like how the Ghost Devil lets him go and not kill him, showing that he was still following the contract he made with Himeno to protect Aki no matter what. It's just the ending of this encounter that doesn't work. But that's all the flaws in the show. The rest is pure fire. And honestly, the fact there are less than half a dozen flaws in the show really illustrates how good the writing is. Absolute king shit. As I've shown throughout the video, Chainsaw Man is absolutely incredible. Goated characters with their fun as hell dynamics, intriguing plot developments, both as a great setup for future seasons of the show, but also a wonderfully written piece of TV that knocks it out of the park and hooks the audience thoroughly. It's not without its flaws, but they are so few and relatively minor that it doesn't impact the score at all. It's pure fire from start to finish. So that's why I'm proud to say that the final score for Chainsaw Man is 10 out of 10, certified legendary status.
It's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Thank you all for watching, take care, and I'll see you all next time.